Hey everyone, Emmanuel here. So in this video, I'm gonna show you, I guess it's stretching, but it's a different type, okay? So before, you shouldn't jump straight into stretching, okay? Especially if you're just kind of, just starting your training, right? So you just got to the gym or you just got to the club you're working out at. It's best not to right away start to kind of stretch. The reason being the muscles in the body is still kind of cold. So there's what I like to call a warm-up stretch. So this is kind of prepares the body to move and prepares the body to be stretched and stuff. So a really good way of doing that is rolling the joints. So let me explain. So when you're talking about stretching, your muscles are stretching out, okay, to get ready for an activity, a sport, an event, whatever you're training for. Try to think of it from a biological standpoint. We have muscles, and muscles are connected to bones via ligament or tendon, and that's pretty much true for most of it with some small exceptions, okay? But generally, all muscles are connected to our bones or our body through ligaments and tendons, okay? So the joints themselves, okay, which is the insertion points of these muscles, just need to be warmed up a little bit, right? So kind of fluid movement, right? So before you start working the muscle, why don't you look at the insertion points first, okay? And the other part is, those joints also need to move smoothly as well for you. So it's kind of like you slowly warm up the body, right? So what I'm gonna do is start with my neck, right? And I'm gonna start to kind of just roll my neck. I'm really not trying to force it here. What I'm looking for as I'm rolling out the neck, the whole neck around here, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to relax myself. So as I'm moving my neck, I'm really slowly trying to see right there, I can feel it's not as smooth. So when you're rolling out the joints, you're just looking for where they're not smooth. And when you find that spot, you kind of don't force into it, just kind of relax into it. When I'm working with my neck, I like to think of my chin or my jaw, and I kind of almost like there's a little arrow in my beard here, and I'm kind of moving it around. And by moving this, it moves my neck, right? So you kind of very slowly, with breathing and relaxation, find the spot in that rotation that it's not as smooth. And then I would kind of go to my shoulders, right? Now, what I usually do as well is I go to the neck, I go to the shoulders, and then I go back to the neck, because sometimes a lot of our neck tension or restrictions in the movement is caught up in the shoulders. So these are somewhat connected. So I kind of tend to go, when I'm moving joints, sometimes back to check, right? So I just start moving my shoulders. They can be like independent of each other. They can move together. It's your kind of choice, right? So I'm kind of just working my way through the joints, and shoulders feel pretty good today. I spent a lot of time on them, so they should be pretty loose, right? I'll kind of just check them. And then I go kind of down to my elbows, right? And I'll kind of give you the side view of my elbow. So I'm just, again, my hand's really loose, my shoulder's really loose, and I'm trying to just make, circles with my elbow joint. Yeah, and right now I'm spinning it out of my control, but I can also work with the speed at a very slow, controlled pace. What I'm really feeling now is how my elbow and my shoulder, especially the bones, how they move together. So in this case, the shoulder's open and then it kind of closes, right? So you can do it like this, right? You can do it like that. You can do your wrists, right? And so again, very similar to the wrist. Now in this case, everything feels great, but right here, I feel a pull. I don't know, I think I slept kind of funny, so it was kind of pushing on it. So it feels a little tense. Instead of hammering through that, I'm gonna slowly go back to that movement and try to relax my wrists. Now, if you really wanna work with your wrists, you work with your fingers, right? So see how, as I rotate my fingers, I'm rotating my wrist, okay? Just take off my jacket so you can kind of maybe see it a little bit better. So you have your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder. So I'll show you kind of one. So wrist, elbow, shoulder. wrist, elbow, shoulder. And what I'm focusing now on is the joints, okay? I'm moving the joints before I get to my muscles. I'm really starting to see how smoothly they move, okay? So I work with the whole arm. You've got your wrist, you know, some people do it like this, some people do it like this. This is okay. It's a little bit kind of fast. Try to go sometimes change the speed and watch if you feel any differences, right? So play with the speed. And don't be afraid to kind of go back as well, just to check, right? So you're making kind of circles with your wrists. Again, not forcing it, but relaxing through the range. And by relaxing, look how the rest of my arm also wants to move freely as well. So really important to see how that works together. Now I'm gonna work my way down, so towards the sternum. So it's kind of hard to see, but I'm gonna like suck in my sternum and then push it out. Suck it in and push it out. Suck it in, push out. This is just the beginning, right? It's kind of like, and I feel kind of that joint, because there actually is a lot of connection of the ribs coming here and towards the back. And then I'm gonna start to kind of make these circles with my chest. Now the secret here is in the shoulders. You really, really want to keep them as, you don't want to be kind of moving with the shoulders. Now you're working with the chest. It's a very small movement. 1 inch back, 1 inch over, it's really, really small circles. Really, really small circles. And from the back, you'll kind of see it, but so it's like I'm working from both ends, the sternum and the back as well, kind of moving in a small circle in that joint, okay? Then I'm gonna progress down towards the stomach area, and as it relates to my low back as well, right? So first I start to kind of move my stomach, and you can suck it in, let it hang out. Suck it in, let it hang out. But then later, you start to kind of move in a circle. Now, I don't really care. I mean, it's nice, feels nice for muscular control in the stomach, right? Kind of control your abs, how they fire. But really what I'm interested in is in the joints in the back, in the spine. So by moving this way, by moving my stomach, right? It's hard to see, but from the back, I can feel those little joints, especially the ones that are tight in the low back, which most people complain about, are starting to stretch, little movements. So these are fine movements, 1 inch left and right, backwards and forward. So I start to kind of get into the joints towards the low back, right? Now, I'm still not thinking about my hips yet. I'm thinking about my stomach now. So hips, different story, right? First, I'm dealing with my stomach, and I can actually feel some of the ribs moving, some of my low back moving. Again, a wonderful warm-up for the spine area, right? And then I can do the same thing with my spine. So now I start to I'm working with my stomach, but I'm focusing on my low back, right? Upper low back. And then I'm starting to kind of relax my spine. I'm not working with the shoulders. I'm just simply focused on opening and moving my spine. So I'm just trying to imagine like my spinal cord and moving it. And you'll see people doing various kind of spinal waves, right? Really trying to see where my spine doesn't want to move, right? So it can be rotations around the spine, right? Right? So I'm literally rotating, right? Let me just show you what I mean. So if you think of this like your spine, right? When you rotate, see how the bottom moves? So here I am at the top, everything is still. When I rotate my head, you see how it also affects the bottom, right? That's the spine, right? So I'm imagining the crown of my head to the tailbone, okay? And as I'm turning my head, I'm really focused on rotating my spine. And I can explain to you what I feel. On this side, on my right side, last couple of days have been stiff, I slept kind of funny, and I can feel a little bit of tightness. So as I rotate, as I turn this way, I'm really focusing on relaxing. I'm not hammering through it. I'm really relaxing through the vertebrae of my spine. Some days when I do a whole lot of archery, that's going to bring tension to the upper middle back between my shoulder blades. And in those particular cases, if I feel that restriction, I might get to some massage stuff that I've shown in the other videos. Or I'll try kind of, again, get some movement happening in those joints. Not necessarily stretch the muscle yet, just loosen up those joints. So think about the spine. So think of like making circles around your spine, right? Even when you move your stomach, right? And now you get to the hips. So now you hold the spine still. So the spine is still, and you start to move your hips below. So you try to keep the spine as still as you can. And again, I can feel that little bit of tension. So I know that whatever's happening has engaged my hip as well as my low back. So some muscles that are crossing over there. So it kind of helps me localize where the problem is so I can fix it later. And without much thought, as I'm moving my hips, right, you can think of circles. Some people will show you figure eights. Again, not a problem. They're basically infinite circles from going from one to the other. So you got to think of your hips making the letter 8, right? Nothing new. There's been videos that have shown this before. It's nothing, but the idea here is that as you're moving, you're trying to relax more and more and more, right? And when I do that, I don't know if it's hard if you can see it on the video. Let me point it down a little bit. You can kind of see how, as I move my hips, my knees are also following along, right? So as I'm making circles, my knees are also making circles. And if I relax even more, you can see my foot starts to also make circles on the ground. So basically, even though I'm consciously focused on my hips, subconsciously, the big femur is in relation to the kneecap, the shin, the tibia, fibia, and the ankles and the feet. So now I'm going to switch my focus, and instead of thinking about my hips, I'm going to think about my knees. And did anything change? Not really. What changed is my focus. The hips still got to move because they're connected to the knees. The ankles still got to move, they're connected to the... And the same thing with my ankles. Now I'm focusing on my ankles. And look how the leg starts to kind of move, right? Now I'm doing it like this. You could do it like this. You could make circles like this, right? To me, it doesn't matter. You could do circles with one leg up, you know? So really kind of work with circles of the knee, right? Ankles in the air, you know, hips, right? Hip movements. It's fine, guys. There's no right or wrong answer in those things. The idea is that you have a simple idea in your head. So I find simple ideas very powerful if you believe in them and you really work with them. Think of circles or figure eights. Those are simple things in our mind, shapes that we have, and just move your attention. So your attention is on the neck or then the shoulders or in the elbow, and you move it around and just pay attention to how the rest of the body follows along. And in 5-10 minutes, you start to feel the body starts to warm up, and muscles start to get ready, and you start to know a little bit better where the problems might be in terms of your maybe tension or stretching that you're going to have to do, right? Because what we want to get to a point when we're stretching is that our body is ready for the activity that we're about to engage in. Now, in martial arts, it can be anything. I mean, we could be wrestling on the ground, we have multiple tackles, we're striking or punching. So our body kind of needs to be ready for everything, in any movement, any sorts of way. In some sports, it's very specific. Ours is more general, so we kind of warm up the body as one piece and see what we're gonna need to do that particular day. So roll out the joints with breathing, with relaxation, and pay attention to where you have stiffness. It varies day to day sometimes. And start to take blood, which is normally stored in the body, like this part when we're not doing anything. And by starting to move slowly, you're communicating with your brain and telling your brain, hey, I'm going to start to get active. And the brain says, oh, we need to start transferring some blood from the body to the arms and legs, which is what a warm-up does. A warm-up starts to tell the body, I need to move blood, which is stored in the body when you're not doing anything, because most of it is here. We've got lungs, heart, liver, all the work is here. When we're doing nothing, we don't need our arms and legs. Blood is not stored there. So warm-up is a transfer of blood from the body to the limbs, and a cool-down is a transfer of blood from the arms and legs back into the body. So you have to think about that, okay? And depending on your activity, the warm-up will vary, but this is a great one. So it is stretching for the joints, I guess, right? What I hate seeing is when people slam into joints, like they start doing stuff like slamming into them. this is no good. Please don't do this. Try to take care of your joints. Lots of our actual tension that we have in our bodies is stored in the joints. So please don't hammer through them. Take your time and slowly warm up the joints, get them moving, transfer blood from the body to the limbs, and then you can progress to various stretches for the muscles, okay? Now, a couple of little things I can show you. You can actually do all of this as well on the floor or on a wall. So I'll just show you quickly on the wall if you can see it. I'm not gonna go into crazy amount of detail, but you'll get the idea here, right? So if this is, so the circles that I'm making, I can make the circles on the wall. I can make the circles with my elbow on the wall. I can make the circles with my shoulder on the wall. And the same on the floor. There's no difference. It's the exact same idea that you can work with. I don't want to kind of tell you what to do, guys. That's not my big thing here. It's just to give you a starting point. And then try it for 4 to 6 weeks. And if it works or it's beneficial to you, then you keep it, right? But you can go so deep with this stuff, really. There's lots of great guys on social media or YouTube, whatever, that do some great stuff with this. But this one I find is simple. It's worked for me all the time, and it's really saved me from a lot of serious injuries, especially towards the joint area, okay? Hope you like it, enjoy, and more videos coming about stretching the muscles in a variety of different ways, but don't skip this one. The joint stretches are a wonderful way of getting ready for stretching or the activity that you're gonna do, okay? Take care, bye-bye.